All right, good morning, everybody. And let me get this together. Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay, we're on. Stephanie, good morning. Mark, good to see you. I am waiting for Jonathan to show up. We were just in the green room. We're going to start this show right now. Let me see if maybe he's waiting for me to invite him. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that he can get on here and find his way. Anyway, today is what? Tuesday? My goodness. I don't know about you, but for me, it's like I can't keep track of the days because I'm just like going. It seems kind of counterproductive because obviously we have schedules to keep and meetings to make and all that other stuff. But I have to constantly be reminding myself what day it is while we're in it. All right. So here's Jonathan. There we go. Yay.
Okay.
Yay. There you
Did
are.
it.
Welcome to the show. This is our show today, actually, Jonathan. You're my co-host. We're just going to have a conversation. This is not an interview. We're just going to let it roll. So,
Sounds great.
Stephanie, you want to come up here? Mark, anybody else want to come up and join this conversation? Jonathan is amazing. I had my, we actually had our interview. We've done that. And you were on
Yes.
Fireside with me. And so it was so good. And we were like, you know what? Let's just go on and talk because there's so much valuable information that, we have to share, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think so too. I'm just going to fix it later.
Can you hear me okay? Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you
Good.
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 So, so a short introduction, everyone. So, Jonathan is my co-host in Cracking the Rich Code. Cracking the Rich Code is an entrepreneur book series by Jim Britt. And he brings amazing people from across the country together to, put their expertise in the book. And each book is just like, wow, there's so many golden nuggets. And so Jonathan, he's a naturopath and a doctor who just has given us so much good information on the last talk. And today we're going to continue to talk about health and wellness and happiness and love and wherever the wind takes us.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So our first, before we got on here, we were talking a little bit, just to make sure we're all good. And I said, "What are you doing this morning, Jonathan?" He says, "I'm with patients all day." And I'm like, "Patients?" In my mind, I didn't think about people. I thought about signs, because in my world, I talk about patients a lot.
Yes.
But I
So
guess
we're
they're kind of,
patient. Yeah. And my last patient, I had to be very patient, actually.
and why is that?
Well, she tends to be 15 minutes late. I knew I was meeting with you, and she also loves to talk and explain everything. The session was over, and then 15 minutes later, and so I'm just breathing and trying to be patient and trying to be clear. It's like, okay, I have something else I need to do now. It's that kind of thing. So it
Really
was
good
requiring
point.
patience for sure.
I want
For
to
sure.
I want to make a point right there. So for everyone who is seeking a professional, whether it's in your relationships or your health or your business, your computer, I don't care what it is. If you're seeking a professional and you're talking to that professional, let's keep in mind that they're a professional. So you don't have to over explain all of your history, everything that's wrong. They're going to recognize. Am I right, Jonathan?
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Sometimes people just they don't know that sometimes, or and it's also my job to explain that to them as a professional. It's on us, to explain it to a degree. And some people, if they don't get it, they don't get it. But some people will get it if you actually are clear. So I had to be really clear with her today, which was good. And I think she'll probably be a little bit more on time and a little bit more, won't feel as much need to explain everything.
Right.
But that's a good point. That's really true.
Yeah,
Much.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I for me personally, when people come to me with, whatever their heart issues are, you know what I mean? I'm not a doctor, but a doctor of love. Whatever their problem is, it's like I can tell like in the first, five sentences where you're going with this, and it's like, okay, let's deal with that. I actually had somebody come to me and have me read a 5-page document so that I thoroughly understood. I'm like, oh my God. But you have to
Mm-hmm.
do it sometimes because then they feel heard, right?
Yep. Yeah, some of it is just really. No, you're right. I know exactly what you mean. When someone comes in, sometimes I'm like, I'm ready to go, but they do. They need to feel heard and feel like you've heard them, so they feel safe to work with you, you know. But yeah, as
Right.
practitioners, because of the experience we have, there is a sense sometimes of, they're in and 2 minutes into it, like I'm ready to get that person on the table and start doing my assessment because I'm excited to dig
Right.
in and get the information that I know will help me treat them. Them telling me the whole story doesn't necessarily help me treat them, but it can be helpful for them.
Oh, okay, so instead of being vague, help us understand. Like, what are you doing exactly? Like on there,
Oh, like when I'm working with a patient?
get them on the table. Get them on the table. What are you doing?
What does that
Are you
mean?
gonna crack my
Well,
back or something?
I'm an acupuncturist, and I do muscle testing, kinesiology. I take pulses, which gives me a lot of
Mm,
information and all the meridians and the organ systems, and it physically and mentally gives information. And then I do muscle testing, and I can check organs, and I check the different systems and stressors, and whether someone has viruses or parasites or food sensitivities, and all those kinds of things. And then
right.
you kind of get to the deeper root of what's going on with that person, physically and
Mm-hmm.
mentally. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I'm doing. And then there's a dietary assessment and all that kind of stuff.
Nice. Okay, so Jeff, do you have a question that you want to ask Jonathan or me? I'm happy to have you come up. Yeah. Okay. So Jonathan, Jeff has a question for you. Let's
Okay.
see.
Hey
Okay.
Jeff.
Hi, Miss Marilee. It's been a minute. How
Hi.
are ya?
Good to see you.
And hi, Jonathan. It's
Hi
nice to
Jeff.
meet you.
Nice to meet
I
you.
heard you mention acupuncture,
Yeah.
and for a few years now, I've been, well, I don't know how to say it, but I've been told or had it explained to me by my neurologist that perhaps could be some sort of pain relief for my MS that I have a lot of issues with.
Yeah.
Relapse wise, I relapse probably 4 times a year in between my every 6 month forgive me infusion treatment, and I've never done acupuncture, and I have a little bit of a fear of it because the needles kind of hanging out. I
Yeah.
mean, is it something that you feel? Is it any discomfort at all?
Yeah. So first of all, there's different styles of acupuncture.
Hmm.
So when you interview your acupuncturist, whether it's over the phone or you should be able to interview somebody for even 3-4 minutes just to get a sense.
Okay.
And you can always ask, do you tend to be, go pretty aggressively with the needles, or can you go pretty lightly with the needles? That's one way to put it. um, I work with people according to their, to who they are. If someone's extremely sensitive, there's a way to do
Hmm.
acupuncture where it's very gentle, and you might feel a little prick, but it's not terrible at all. You know,
Is
it's really,
it
really,
a prick almost like a diabetes test where they prick the needle in the end of
but
your
it's gonna
finger?
be it's gonna be less than that. It's gonna be less
Oh,
sensitive
okay.
than that. Yeah. Yeah, the needles
That
are
helps a
tiny, and
lot.
that where you're pricking the finger, that's kind of a sensitive area too. So generally,
Yeah.
you don't put needles on the tips of the fingers or the acupuncture points. So for the most part, I would say it's not painful. Every once in a while, you get a little bite or a tug or an ache or something
Hmm.
like that, but I wouldn't let that stop you because it could
Okay.
really be helpful. Acupuncture is very helpful for neurological things. I've worked with people with MS. And you might want to also work with someone who does something called nutrition response testing, which can
Hmm.
assess what underlying issues could be there also. That might be helpful.
I appreciate the answer. And you had mentioned that you have worked with people that had MS and
Yes.
acupuncture.
Yeah.
Now, did they provide you with any feedback on results or
Well,
anything
yeah,
along
I've
those
definitely
lines?
have worked with a couple people with MS, and we've gotten really good results. Yep.
Okay, great. No,
And
I
one and
again, I didn't.
one case, the person went actually into remission completely. The
Oh,
doctor said, "Well,
really?
maybe
Really?
they didn't have MS." I mean, it was kind of a interesting phenomenon. But yeah, there's things people can do, and good acupuncturists can do a lot for stuff like that. So I
I
would go for it.
appreciate your information, and I didn't mean to interfere, but when I heard acupuncture, it was something last week that was mentioned to me because I have been going through a horrific relapse the last 2.5 months. They sent me in for 4 days of steroid infusions, followed by the 7 day tablet, to
Yeah.
wean me off. And I'll tell you, when they give me steroid infusions, I feel like I want to pick up my house and recreate the original Incredible Hulk episode.
Yeah, that's
And
why
I
the
really,
baseball players like it.
I'm sorry.
That's why the baseball players like it. They can hit home runs.
Yeah, I truly don't enjoy the steroid infusions, but they do in fact help with, the relapse symptoms I suffer with, which is numbness, tingling,
Yeah,
a
I would
buzzing
definitely try.
sensation. Okay.
Definitely
Well, I
try.
appreciate your information, Miss Merrily. It was very nice to see you. It's been a while since we've spoke. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus there for health reasons, but I'm back and I am doing my own show starting May 12th, which is awesome. I've been working diligently on that.
Good.
And I'm gonna follow Jonathan and I think I already follow you, obviously. I'm gonna follow Jonathan, and I appreciate the information. I really do. And
Excellent.
thanks for taking time to let me come up for a minute.
Well,
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. And also, just I want to let you know that I have done acupuncture, and
Okay.
so it literally is just little pricks in your body. You don't even notice. You literally
Yeah.
don't notice that it's there. So
Okay. I
go
have a
for it.
fear of needles. And yeah, do I have tattoo sleeves and all that? Yeah. And when people say that, I'm like, it's not the same because it's not.
Well,
Um.
you can handle it. If you got a tattoo, you can handle it. I say go for it.
you definitely handle it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the information. You made me feel a whole lot better about exploring it because the chronic pain that I'm in, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and I call them pain mares. I'll wake up in nightmare fashion, completely sweaty, and I'm in such pain that I want to call 911. And I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, that's the way it is.
Right.
And I don't like taking pain pills. I just don't.
Try
And
acupuncture. Try acupuncture.
yeah, and
Get it. Come up
unfortunately,
with
I
that.
possess a commercial driver's license, and in my state, the DOT does not approve of that yet for medical cannabis. So, which is weird. They'll give me oxycodone, but they won't let me smoke pot. But in any event, I appreciate the information, and Miss Merrily, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Jeff.
And Jonathan, nice meeting you. And I will jump off stage now so you can continue on with your agenda.
Thank you. Let us know if you have
Thank you.
another question.
I'm sorry?
I said, let us know if you have another question.
Oh, I will. I appreciate you taking the moment, and I never like to interfere, but when I heard acupuncture, I really wanted to ask about it. So
Perfect.
thank you again. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right,
All right.
take care.
You too. So that was a good question because we need to know how painful it is because we don't like pain.
Right. Right. We like to avoid pain.
Right.
We move toward pleasure and avoid pain. It's a
Exactly.
basic human reality.
But saying that it's kind of interesting because we'll endure the pain to avoid the pain that we're thinking is going to be, right? So we'll endure it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, just face your fear, get over it, and then find yourself happy.
Right. Right. And then there's the aspect of something can be a little uncomfortable, but you're willing to go through that to receive the benefit. So that's the other, another angle on it, a different type
Okay,
of pain.
that's a really good point. What is uncomfortable to me?
Yeah.
Money, paying for it, paying for anything.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Jeff has another question. Okay, Jeff.
Hey, you guys started the subject, so it's all on you. I'm just kidding. No, it's really funny you brought that up because I was diagnosed with the progressive relapsing MS a few days before I turned 40. And based on the testing results, I had lesions all over my spine, a black hole in my brain, and hot mess basically is what they should have written on the prognosis. But in any event, they said that I had this condition well over a decade without knowing about it. I played hockey 3 nights a week, and when I would take my hockey skates off, I literally felt like someone was bending my foot in half. It was how painful it was. I couldn't stand. I was in tears for at least 45 minutes. And that's when I finally went and saw a neurologist and got the testing. So I had dealt with the pain for years and years and years, and I would go to pain doctors. And unfortunately, due to the epidemic with abuse of these narcotics, every doctor thought I was pill hunting. And I would tell them, I don't want pills. I want to know why I'm in this sort of pain. And they would do CAT scans and x rays and
Definitely.
whatever, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. It's awful. It's absolutely awful to be going through that whole medical system. And that's why, we prefer natural remedies,
Yeah,
to
I
get
do too.
whole again. So yeah, be sure to look that up. Go
I
look,
will.
somewhere and get referrals and things like that. And did you have another question?
No, I'm just thankful that you brought me on, and I know I'm annoying. I just wanted to,
Well,
pick
let's
pick.
get some more information out so that we can, so that maybe, there's more answers that we can provide.
Yeah, and
Brings
and
up
you
it
know,
brings up a
like
good point.
I'm sorry,
I'm sorry.
Jonathan.
I was just going to say it brings up a good point. We're talking about pain and avoidance of pain,
Hmm.
and the medical system that we're involved in is it deals with pain very. Look, this is a generalization because there's a right use of things. There's a right use of Western medicine. I don't have a problem with that.
Correct.
There's times when surgery is appropriate. There's times when medications are appropriate.
Hmm.
Um, However, the mentality generally is to deal with a symptomatic pain or
Right.
issue where the goal is not necessarily getting to a deeper root. And, it's like a band aid approach.
Hmm.
So this is the problem. And you can make a metaphor in so many ways in life. People want quick fixes, whether it's a relationship is having a little bit of a stress.
Oh, jeez,
And
that's another
so people,
storybook for me.
people will leave the relationship because, you know,
Hmm.
it's getting stressful. They'd
Right.
rather have a quick fix than, kind of go through the temporary discomfort of something and go to a deeper level with whatever it is that they're dealing with. So you can apply that principle to pretty much anything. And I'm just thinking of
Yeah.
Mary Lee right now because you're the love guru. Um,
Well,
like
well, Marilee and I will talk about my whole relationship shenanigans at some other time. We'll have to
yeah,
pre-plan that
we'll
a
leave
year
that for
out.
some other.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that was just with Western medicine. That's a big issue,
Hmm.
a big issue that
Well,
you take the medication, and it's not because they're bad. It's because they're trained in that way. They don't
right.
have the toolbox, and in many cases, they're not allowed to use a different toolbox because if they do, they have to step out of the system, and there's no little code for what they're recommending, and they weren't
Hmm.
educated in that way. So now that they're bad, they're just they have tunnel vision based on their education.
Well,
So
they have their general scope. When I was an EMT, we had our
exactly.
scope and what we could
That's
and
why I
couldn't
would
do.
really recommend that you step out and try,
Hmm.
to go to explore a couple different an acupuncturist, and maybe you'll get lucky and really find one that you really resonate with at first. But it can be really helpful because you're working on a totally different level in terms of what's going on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
to be truthful with you, I take my medication as prescribed, as scheduled. I don't do it
Right.
any other way. And in fact, I only take the pain medication when I absolutely need it. I don't
Right.
take it because I'm supposed to take it 6 times a day. I take it as needed because I don't like taking pills. I just don't. I don't understand the whole epidemic, but I
Okay.
am gonna definitely look into it now more deeper with a more open mind because I just needed to know a couple things, and I do appreciate you guys once again. And I won't come back up, I promise. I just, I just, just needed to hear a couple things from the professionals that know most about it. So again, thank you,
You're so
and
welcome.
and
Jonathan rocks.
I'll.
Let's
I'm
hear what
sorry.
it has to say.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you too. If you do another show, I'll follow up and let you know what I was told or not told or
Oh,
what
good.
happened.
Yeah.
But again, thank you too. You're doing a great job. I think it's a great topic, and I will talk to you both soon, and I'm gonna jump off stage. Frankie J out.
Thanks. And there we go. Okay. So you were making a point about the avoidance of pain. Is that where we left off?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and the we are so inclined to it's really weird. It's very complex because we will endure for a very long time, right?
Hmm.
To avoid something that we perceive to be worse,
Hmm.
like going to the doctor,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And just like what Jeff was saying, it's like he hates taking pills, and who likes to do all that? But he's afraid of the needles,
Right.
so he'll take the pills. And in reality, I've done it. It isn't painful at all. You just lay there and you relax and you just let the doctor do your thing.
Let it happen. Yeah, acupuncture is beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
appreciating it more now than ever before. Like every year, I appreciate it more.
Mhm.
It's these wizards who created it or intuited it or whatever they did were truly connected to something amazing.
Mhm.
Because the shift that people can make just in a couple different points sometimes. And these days, also because people are so stressed. And technically, I say whacked out. People are so stressed energetically that and you can feel it in the pulse. Like the body doesn't lie, and it tells
Right,
you, and then you can
right.
do stuff to shift it, and people can walk out just feeling sane again. You know, so it's pretty amazing. So
Okay, so whacked out. Let's talk about that. That whacked out comes
that,
from what we're thinking, right? Because our thinking creates that emotional response.
that's true.
And the
That's true.
body is like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Right. Right.
So you got to start there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also then it means like I mean I'm just bouncing off of you where your thoughts create your feelings. So what are you feeding? Some of it is say bad thinking habits, right? You could blame it on that, but it's also what are we feeding ourselves with? And when there's a lot of fear and anxiety in every media direction,
Yeah.
then we're feeding ourselves a lot of fear and anxiety. And when a person is eating fear and anxiety constantly, that's definitely going to impact their thinking. And
Right.
that thinking will create feelings. And if you do that long enough, those feelings will create energetic imbalances. I describe it like blowing a fuse. And, the meridians in acupuncture, like I think of it as the bioelectric energy of the body. And if you pressure a pathway long enough, it blows a fuse. And then you're walking around with a blown fuse. And feel good. It's really hard to feel good when you have a blown fuse or a bunch of them, you know.
And as you're saying that and you're describing, I'm literally imagining the hamster wheel. It's like we get on that hamster wheel, you have a thought, and the thought creates a reflex, an emotional reflex. And
Yep.
the more we have those toxic thoughts, the faster that hamster wheel is going. It's constant. Things are coming at you, coming at you, coming at you. And so you're running, 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 and you're going to blow a fuse. You don't know how to get off. And,
Right.
talk about information overload, right? Everybody's looking for the answer, for the healing, for the positivity, for the, you've got meme with messages and things coming at you. But it's like
Mhm.
if you don't, it's just information coming. You're not clearing out. You can't. You have to purge,
Yeah, it's true. That's
like
the,
your
the
computer
meta.
overload.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is like an overload. That's kind of how I think of it. You know, and when you think about our modern situation, I mean, when I was a kid, um, when I was a kid, you know, television or the news was on a few times a day.
Mm-hmm.
You had to wait for the 6 o'clock news, or maybe the 11 o'clock news, or whatever. Now there's something 24 hours a day, literally, and at the touch of a finger, uh, maybe pretty soon at a touch of a chip, you know, so, or the touch of a phone. So in Ayurveda, for instance, I think you'll appreciate this. They say that they think of digestion as being not just physical, like food, but anything you take in through your mind and also your senses, you have to digest. So anything comes in through your eyes, your mind has to process and digest it. So everything and so when there's an overload of stimulus, that's a lot to digest. We have more to digest now than ever before. And then another thing in Ayurveda, which is a system of medicine from India, means knowledge of life. They say the cause of all emotional imbalances are due to undigested experiences.
Oh gosh,
So we
100%.
have a lot of undigested experiences, and then we add layers upon layers upon layers. So it makes me think about what you were saying about, you have to let some stuff go, and also give your mind and senses a break sometimes.
Well, there's no room for process.
That's true.
Right
Right.
now, there's so much demanding our attention, and it's addicting. It's like, once your eyeballs lock in with social media or something, you're scrolling, having to go around and around. It's like this platform, that platform, reading. It's just like, oh my
I'm not the
gosh,
only one who does that.
it's awful. It is awful, and you literally have to pull out
Yes.
and gather yourself. Like, I ground a lot. I mean, a few times a day. I'll go out, I'll ground, I will sun gaze
Just
twice a day.
ask you,
Yeah.
what are your like, if you were to talk about strategies to dealing with that level that I'll call insanity, because it does create a type of insanity.
Yeah.
Um, but my definition of insanity is feeling insane and having no hope for feeling sane again. So, like what you're saying is you can kind of get it out of balance, but
Yes.
what do you do to bring yourself back? Like if you were to recommend some tips, what would you
Well,
do?
we're in the age of technology, so everybody's trying to grab that real estate, right? Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
And you're thinking, I have to post, I have to post, I have to be seen, I have to be, you have to create your presence. You got to, there's all this pressure to be on. And then while you're on, and it's like, where you been lately? Well, what have you done for me lately? Well, what have you, so there's this, it's an illusion of pressure, because the reality of nobody cares. Nobody cares. You're either fighting for that real estate or somebody else is looking at real estate and then they walk away. So to answer your question though, for me is I pull out and I remind myself that this is my world. This is my world. Like the rest is a hologram. And if I get caught up in that hologram, I get um, dis-ease, meaning that, I'm out of balance.
Right.
And when if I just come back, I breathe, I'll tap, I'll ground, I definitely sun gaze, I'll
Mhm.
stretch out all that energy, right?
Mhm.
Um, I play, I do things that are just purely for me. And something occurred yesterday where it's kind of like, you have to keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. It's like, excuse me, we're not machines here. I
Right.
have a life, and I want to give, and I want to give unconditionally, just like all of us want to do in our relationships. I want to be inspired to give to you and love what I'm giving to you. I don't want to feel like I'm obligated and you're sucking the life out of me.
Right. Right.
What do you think?
I
How
love
about
I
you?
love what you said about those suggestions about all of them. It's almost like we need to remember to give ourselves permission to step out of the vortex,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that there is something, there is an us that steps out. We're so, oh my God, I'm just realizing something. This is
What?
crazy. You know, they say that a virus can only live when it's, in a cell, right? That's why there's a big argument about, oh, they've never identified the virus. Okay, that's okay. But a virus needs something to live off of. So, like, it's almost like we become like a virus, or it's viral when we get into the vortex and we can't come out, and we don't think that we can survive without it. I mean, there's almost like a thinking that I'm not real unless I'm hooked into that. So what you're saying is, no, you are real. There's a real you, whether you're in the network, in the vortex or not. But getting out of it is really important, to
Right.
feel ourselves and to remember who we are. So that if we want to dive back in and do, share in whatever way we want to share, we're doing it from a different place, not from this belief that, we have to get sucked into it in order to be successful, but like to reorient so that, okay, this is what I want to give. I do want to do this video. I do want to do this interview right now, have this great conversation. But, I can go take a walk and put my feet on the earth, and I can breathe and I can stretch, and I can just connect to what's right in front of me, that human being or that tree or that rock, or whatever it is, or that animal. And just that's enough. And I think we're, with the whole, that's what worries me about, the metaverse and all these, the goal is, one of the goals is to have everybody with their goggles on and just creating a whole new reality and just forgetting they have a soul,
Yikes.
yeah,
Yikes.
yeah,
That definitely is like the next step, because you think about it, all eyes are on your computer, all eyes are on your phone. You're
yeah,
already living in somebody else's world.
right,
And it's like when you pull out and you go out into the world and you meet people and stuff, and it's like, I'm meeting strangers. It's like, you don't know my name, you don't know what I do, you don't know it. So I am free to shine and love you
mm-hmm,
unconditionally, without
mm-hmm,
you expecting me to be on, be on, be on. I don't want to
yeah,
do that. I want to create healthy relationships. Like right now with you and I in this impromptu talk, it's like, let's just go on and talk.
right,
Obviously, yes. And I mean, that's what video is for, to bring us together like that. But
yeah.
um, I'm with you.
What is that clapping sound? I don't know what that is. Is that somebody saying yay?
Yes, that's
Okay,
affirmation.
yeah,
It it was kind of jarring to me at first too when I first got on the platform, because I'm like, oh, there's applause. We can do that.
that's cool.
You have
That's
to
cool.
kind of get used to it. But thank you
Yeah,
for all that.
yeah,
We like the love.
exactly. I mean, again, it's like in Ayurveda, there's a word dosha. You've heard the word dosha before?
I think in your chapter.
Okay, yeah, okay. So yes, it's in the book. So dosha is an interesting word. Like, it's kind of a thing. It's become a little fashionable in the yoga world. Like, oh, what's your dosha? It kind of means your body type, superficially. But what it really means is fault. Like, what in Ayurveda is both very forgiving, and they're very, like, what is your fault? Meaning, what is your tendency in which you go out of balance? Because we all have that version. We all have our own version of how we go out of balance. And so it's not inherently, I mean, like the technology, like this, I'm having a great time and I feel connected. When I'm sitting there on my phone scrolling and going numb, that's a toxin.
Ugh.
That's when it's toxic. That's when we're eating cookies and ice cream before bed and feeling miserable, eating too much. That's when we're overeating, we're over ingesting. We don't want it. We're full, but we keep eating. And then we feel like crap, and
So
our bellies up to here because we just had beer, ice cream, pizza, and more cake and apple pie, all at once. So it's like there's a point where it's nourishing, like right now, we're having a nice, like I feel energized. This feels good to have this conversation. But there's a point where, if you're just scrolling and going through it and comparing yourself and, and getting fuzzy in your brain, now we're eating fast food. We're taking in junk food, and it's creating an imbalance. So that's when we have to learn to turn the damn thing off and to disconnect. And we've been doing this for centuries in other ways. Like you could be with a person, and at some point it's good, and then the next minute, okay, dear friend, it's time for me to go, because you start feeling like, okay, enough. I need to disconnect. But with the media, it's so intense and so compelling and addictive and all that stuff, that I think for us to be sane, we're going to really, I mean, it's good that we're talking about this, because I think we need to really name it. That, I mean, we've named it that it's addictive and all that, but what does that really mean? It can steal someone's life, for many, many, many years, for many
Oh
years.
God, the
And
life
so,
force energy is being sucked out. And
yeah,
um, I have different platforms, that I contribute to and try to share the love, right? And
yeah,
sometimes it's like if I've been scrolling and it's just, I mean, meme after meme after meme, and you're trying to read it all, but it's just like your attention span is getting shorter, shorter. What is it? What is it? And to get real value, nobody wants to stick around. Nobody has the time for that. Nobody has, you know what I mean? It's just like, what is it? What is it? And we're so spoiled in the immediate gratification of just give it to me now. And I can get
right.
that somewhere else. I am not motivated, inspired, or inclined to jump into what I call the cesspool and actually give value.
Yeah,
It's like, I know, I can't. I got to pull out. I got to go walk and be with the trees,
it's great. Great. It's great. It's great.
right?
It's
You
so
know,
important. Yeah,
and the food, like when you're talking about, you're just sitting there, and whether it is being on social media, looking for the likes, looking for the love, looking for affirmation, confirmation, chowing down that pizza or the ice cream or whatever. It's like you're trying to satisfy the void in there that is missing. And that void is love. It's literally your own sense of who you are. And the hell am I doing?
hmm,
What am I doing? What is my purpose here? I mean, I scrolled all day long again, and then I just went and made a paycheck at a job I don't really like. What did I do?
hmm. So true.
So when I mean, funny but not funny, right? It's funny but not funny.
Right.
So in your book, we were talking about you know, our immunity. In here, you put your reducing pain, improves digestion. We talked about that. Um, strengthens immunity, reduces cravings for junk food. All of these things in the body are those cells, like you were talking about, the host of the
Yeah.
virus. And that virus is literally all the scrolling and information overload, and our cells are just getting fuller and fuller, and we're getting fatter,
Right.
and we don't care, and we're just right. And so all this stuff that you're talking about is like, let's try to get rid of all that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking it's like it's like it's living off of us in a way, you know. So if
Yes.
you take the metaphor of say the internet or the social media, whether is like a virus, and it feeds off of us, and the only way we can stop it feeding off of us is if we don't allow it. We have to
Right.
say no to it feeding off of us. And it's almost like I think people become so identified, um, that is it. Like maybe it's almost like, I mean, I've had this feeling myself. When there's been times when, I mean, I see that thought in myself that maybe I'm going to be missing out on something if I don't stay connected.
Right.
Like maybe just going for a walk in the woods am I going to be missing out? I mean, maybe there's something and it's like, whoa, no, I'm complete in myself and with nature and the divine. So that we need to nourish, because if we don't, we'll be fully identified with, the external, and the external will feed off of us. So, I mean, that's just a metaphor. I'm just starting to think about it right now in that way. That
Right.
we got to reconnect. Got to
Well,
reconnect.
if we looked at it like a scale, balancing, right? And we have so much time and energy into the internet and reading, watching, listening, watching, listening, scrolling. It's like all our real life. It's like you forget who you are. And that's when you're not paying attention to anything that you truly need. And it's sucking that life energy out of you. And so, in order to, put us back into balance, we have to understand, where's your value? Stop being interested in that matrix.
Hmm.
Pull out, and focus on someone, somewhere, something. Like, it used to be a book, and we would just read the book and
Hmm.
get that information from that author. But right now, it's like we see meme after meme after meme of bits and pieces of other things, as if everybody's an expert, right?
Hmm.
And so often it's taken out of context. And I'm like, you didn't even read the book. And I've tried to make, a point of it. And that people don't even read the point. They just see the meme that I posted and then agree with the meme again. And I'm like, no, people, read what I said. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's just they've
Combination of
zapped our brain. So we have no discernment and no patience, no it's contribution, no critical thinking.
Mhm. Yeah. So we need to take a break. We need to take a break. It's so true. It's so true. I mean, I'd be so bold to say that for the sanity and the future of humanity, we're going to need to learn how to take a break. Otherwise, well, you're really identifying the way you're describing that. We really lose touch with ourselves, and then we're not even sure we have a self. You know, it's like we
Exactly. And then how are we supposed to really connect with each other and fall in love and be the best partner that we can be if we're so
yeah,
disconnected? We're misfiring all the time.
right, misfiring all the time. Right, right, and it's become socially acceptable to misfire all the time and be disconnected. Like that's the new norm. So that's been accepted. So we also have to, for those of us that don't want that, have to uh, identify, like to name it, so that we know that okay, I don't want that norm. I don't accept that norm in society or my family or my relationships, just because so-called that's what the masses are accepting, or that's what's being promoted by
Promoted.
the big tech companies.
That's
They're very
right.
happy, they're very happy to promote that.
Yeah.
Very
And
happy.
it may even be true, but that is the agenda.
Right,
They're putting the illusion out there that everybody's doing it. This is
right,
what, you're missing out. You don't know.
right,
This is
right.
what is right. This is what is right. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. It's like, no, it isn't right. Pull out. Pull out.
Right. So true.
Get off that ship.
Yeah.
Mm, I know.
Years ago, in the early days of the cleanse, like in the mid '90s, late '90s, we've always had the media fast for all the reasons that we're talking about. But back then, it was just television and magazines. That's what we were dealing with, and it was a
Oh
big
my God.
deal. It was a big deal. Like, oh my God, does that mean I can't watch my favorite show on Wednesday night? Yeah, you're gonna have to let it go. For 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and that was the big deal. Now it's like it's crazy what people have to do with. And people during the cleanse will still try to do it oftentimes, but it's so different now. But the principle is the same. We're
Right.
still ingesting everything that's coming in, and this
You know,
principle. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. With this principle, go ahead. I'm sorry.
As I say, the same principle has been there forever, about needing to disconnect and reconnect, you know, so that we can really connect. Disconnect, reconnect, and really connect.
Really.
Um,
Hmm.
in order to do that, we need to know how to disconnect and how to reconnect with
Magical
with
things happen, when you give yourself the opportunity to disconnect.
yeah,
I stopped watching TV in 2010, and
great.
I haven't even really thought about it, like if I'm relevant, no, I didn't watch the latest episode of whatever it is you're talking about. No, I didn't watch Game of Thrones. No, I don't know about any of those things and if I mean, even now, I don't even know how to use the remote. But
Neither.
if the
It's
TV
so
is
funny.
on,
My family, they're all telling me, like, Dad, how come you don't know how to use the remote? I'm like, I don't want to learn how to use the remote. There's two of them. What do I want two remotes for? Anyway,
that's right. I don't need it. I don't need it. And when my house was fuller, with all my kids and everything, there'd always be something on the TV, and I would stop and go, "What are you watching?" And get frustrated at the nonsense that is being put out there for people to lock their eyes and attention and their brain on, that is so contrary to love, so contrary to our power, our inner source. And it frustrates the hell out of me. And now, I mean, it's just, if there's anything on, it's golf. That's
that's
it.
peaceful. That's nice.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to become irrelevant, like you don't know what's going on in the world.
Right.
You gotta know what's
If
going
you
on in your.
really want to know something, you'll find out.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know.
So let me ask you, what do you do then? What do you do to pull out and ground yourself and get back into center?
Okay. Um, well, I do like a spiritual practice every day. I do a meditation, what's called japa. I chant a certain mantra that has names of God in it, and I do that every day. I read uh, spiritual literatures to help ground me and connect to the reality of divinity in all things. That's what I do, and do it every day. And I walk doing that also, and sometimes I'll listen to lectures and things. I usually do that all in the morning, and throughout the day, I'll sometimes pause and do a little meditation because I'm usually in my office seeing patients. But thankfully, when I'm doing that, I am connecting one on one with somebody, and my intention is always to be present and connect with that person as authentically as possible. So I'm fortunate in that my work requires that, which is great.
You know,
Um, so that's what I do.
said about the reading. So I read too.
Yeah.
And I literally embrace the idea of not knowing a lot of stuff. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, well, Jonathan, what are you reading? Because I gotta know. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look stupid. It's like, hey, I can't know it all. Thank
Yeah.
God you're reading that. So what did you read? It's like we get to multiply ourselves, when we all come together, just like that book, and say, well, what are you reading? Teach me something from your book that interests you. I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
pressure to have to know all the books you're reading and
That's
catch up
really
to.
important. Really important point that you know your lane can expand, but stay in your own lane and be happy about it. I don't mean
Right.
I don't mean limit yourself. I mean just there's a this is a what's the word I'm looking for? It's from a book called the Bhagavad Gita, which
Yes.
means Song of God. It's from India, and this is it's not exactly what the verse says. Basically, says better to be yourself imperfectly than try to be someone else perfectly. So be yourself, and like you said, you know what you know, and you're going to keep knowing what you know, and it's going to expand. But it's not about competition.
Not at all.
It's
Not
not
at
about
all.
competition.
And obviously every subject will bleed into another subject, right? But we
Right.
can't be an expert in every subject. Let's
Not
just,
possible.
agree on that. I can't be an expert in every, so don't ask me all those questions. I don't know. And I don't have to
Right.
know. But what I do know and what I'm emphatic about and what I am absolute, I'm going to share it with you. I'll just share
Right.
it with you, right? If you're
Right.
interested. Right. And oftentimes when there is an expertise in any area, um, the devil's army will come out and want to
Mm-hmm.
take you down with the things that you don't know, to
Mm-hmm.
discredit what you do know. That's just pure
Mm-hmm.
evil. Pure
That's
evil.
beautiful. Yep. It's a
And we
really
have
good
to
point.
recognize that I don't have to defend myself against the things that I don't know. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to diminish what I do know,
Right.
right?
Right. That's so good. I love that. And that's where on another front where being over dependence on science can lead us in the wrong direction. Because if I say, you know, acupuncture can be helpful for this condition, and then somebody studies all the research and says, well, there's never been a study on whether acupuncture can be helpful for that. So therefore, I'm not going to do it. Or this study showed that it wasn't helpful. And I'm
Right,
sitting here going, well, I've treated 5 people and it was helpful. So you can do all the studies you want in the universe, but I have my experience. And my
right,
experience is telling me that it was helpful.
right.
So it's like a no brainer. But because science in some database somewhere who did a study, I have no idea what the study even was, they could have used completely different points and they could have had completely different intention, you know. So that's a big problem I think right now is I mean science is cool on the one hand and there's some great fantastic stuff that comes from it, but on the other hand, if we're overly dependent on and then like you said, if somebody who knows more science than I do comes in and invalidates me because, you know, then I could feel bad, I could feel small, I could feel less than because I don't know as much as that person who has an encyclopedic understanding. Like I use Chinese herbs. I don't know all the phytochemicals in all the herbs, where someone else might. You know, but if I know these formulas work and I know the energetics of them enough, then I'm happy with that.
But see, here's the
You know.
thing. To that point right there, if I were the person that knew all that, why would I come to you to try to knock you down, discredit you, and all that other stuff? Because I
Yep.
know more and I'm going to test what you know.
Right.
Why don't I lift you up? Why don't I
True.
say, Jonathan, you're absolutely right in that. Let me show you how or why,
Mm-hmm.
and love each other that way and connect.
Right. Right. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. I have information that might even nourish your understanding and your increase your appreciation of what you're
Hmm.
doing. You know,
Right.
that's so
Exactly.
true. That's a really nice point too. That's the way we can take all the bits and pieces and the differences and that's how we even deal with the racism issues and all the problems of separateness and issues on the planet that we all talk about that we often look at very superficially. uh, how can we really nourish and support each other in that and appreciate each other's uniquenesses? So,
Right. Like books.
yeah.
Why do I have to find fault in you? What does it serve me to find fault in you? What I have to do is resonate with you. What I have to do is find out, okay, do I like you? Do I like what you're saying? Do I like your message? Do I like how I feel when I'm around you? I'm sticking with you.
Hmm.
Instead of logically trying to find all the flaws. And that's because we're so afraid. We don't trust. We're afraid of our own ability to discern.
Right.
Can I trust you? Are you fake? Are you giving me
Mm.
good information?
Right.
So we
Right.
focus on the things that I think that you don't know, and I'm going to test you, and I'm going to test you, and I'm going to test you, and it's like, well, what are you doing? That's not love.
Right. So true. So true.
If we
And
want,
then we also have to be confident, you know, like what are our gifts? And like it's kind of like shine where we shine, you know. And then yes, maybe there's some things we need to learn to ground it a little bit, you know, that's helpful, but um, shine where we shine, and someone else is going to have, like I said, I approach my healing work. I love knowledge. I like science a lot, but I really like doing the work. I really like connecting and connecting to the people and seeing how the healing happens. I'm less interested in all the research papers on ancient Chinese herbal formulas that have been around for 5,000 years, that the Chinese who developed them, or the sages, the mystics that developed them, didn't have research papers. They understood how each herb related to a different quality in nature. You know, they had a whole nother perspective. That's what interests me. So if that's what interests me, yes, the scientific literature is interesting and it's cool and sometimes it's awesome. But I don't need to know all that in order to be a good practitioner. But like you said, if someone else who's Mr. Knowledgeable comes in and starts, ripping off all these studies, there was
right,
a time in my practice where I felt insufficient, or I felt not good enough because they knew more than I did. And maybe that meant that I wasn't as good as they were, you know. But, at some point I realized, like, look, I'm just going to go with my gifts. Keep learning, yes, but go with my gifts and
right.
trust in that. That's good enough, because that's the best we can really do anyway.
That is the best that we can do, and that's literally being true to who you are. You know,
Exactly.
don't be
Right.
afraid. Yeah, that's my gift. Don't be afraid to be like, but I don't have this, this, and this, so this isn't
Right.
valuable.
Right. Right.
It's like, I think about like a post-it note. Whoever came up with the post-it note, right? It's like, that was brilliant. Everybody needs a post-it note. And it's like somebody else going, a post-it note, get out of here. I created a journal. So
Mm-hmm.
what? You know what I mean? Why are we discrediting the value of whatever that idea was?
Mm-hmm.
It's all important. It's all important. If we are second guessing who we are and our importance with our gift, it's like, no, just be proud of that one thing that you've got. And that one
Mm-hmm.
thing will manifest into either something bigger or something else that you didn't even see coming.
Right. And that's the whatever you want to call it, but I kind of call it the spirit factor or the God factor or the transcendental factor, where when you do that, life happens in a different
Ah,
paradigm.
so beautiful.
Like, and talking about the law of attraction, whatever you want to talk. I'm not so, like, I don't, there's a lot of things I'm iffy about that. I mean, I know there's a law of attraction, but when you live in that vibration,
Yeah.
things happen differently. And
Yes.
they happen not necessarily in linear ways. There's synchronicities that happen. There's, they come out of nowhere oftentimes. And the things that we can't necessarily, with our left logical scientific brain, identify as, well, this happened because this happened. Life happens on another level. And that's what I think makes life really wonderful and
Oh
amazing,
gosh.
is,
I'm with
is
you.
that. And I think you're really touching in on that for sure.
Yes. I love being on the same
reading
page.
reading your reading your articles, your chapters, was really inspiring in that way. How you really
Yeah.
touch on that reality. Yeah.
Tell Like what? You mean in my chapters in book in 1 and
Yeah.
4?
Yeah. Yep. I just remember it's more like the principle. I don't remember the specifics because I read it a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
but just the message that you put out about really being love, and then letting life just happens from that place, being yourself. And so many miracles happen, whether
Amen.
you want to call them little miracles or big miracles. They're all miracles in the same category as the miracle, right? So they happen because you're functioning from that place,
That's right.
rather than thinking, and that's where I really got that from reading that from you. And I really appreciate that it takes commitment and sanity to do that, to want to come live your life that way, you know?
You know what? But once you
Mm,
start doing it, you start
yeah.
working for the miracles. You don't work for a
Mm,
paycheck. You're working for miracles
mm-hmm,
because it's so
mm,
liberating and it's so satisfying. It's like, you know, that if you love harder, you keep trying to let go of all your judgment, let go of all your fear, let go of everything of the control that you think you have, let go and keep going higher. You're literally working for those miracles. You don't know what's coming, but it's called a miracle for a reason.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? Instead of just, being at this lower vibration where you're just like, working for a paycheck, working for
Right.
your next client. My
Yeah.
whole life has been a string of favor. And that's what you're picking up in the chapters. So I have to ask you, in book 4, remember the story of Robert and Elise? Do you
Not
remember it?
completely.
Okay.
I skimmed that part, honestly.
Okay.
But I remind me.
The story of Robert and Elise. Basically, I was telling the story of Robert working in the corporate world, and
Mm-hmm.
what happens when you get stuck. Trying to climb that ladder, making sacrifices. Putting your relationships behind. All this other stuff, and how he finally got there. He became a CEO, but he
Mm-hmm.
had no relationships. He was in charge of the big old company, and he gave out, had a Christmas party and gave out gifts and everything. Everybody's like, all right, cool, like, okay, thanks, Robert, but there was no relationship.
Right.
And his boys were in the corner. There's like nothing. There's no love.
Right.
But he got the money and he got the title.
Right.
So in the second part, the story of Elise, okay, and Elise means a covenant with God. So the story of
Mm-hmm.
Elise was literally like kind of my story, but it's the opposite. It's putting love first in every moment right now, whatever the situation is. You have to really use your discernment to say, what do I do right now? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times you have to just pull back and do nothing because you're too emotional to make the right decision in that moment.
Mm-hmm. That
So
is
that's
so important. Love that, and I love that. That's what you teach. I love it. That's the core of so many things, and the fact that you're. I mean, I know you've been living it, and that's your path and your commitment. And I mean, maybe it doesn't even feel like that much of a commitment in a way. It's like you're not efforting because
right.
it's just what you're doing. But I did hear something really interesting. What you just said. You said you still have to use discernment. It's not like it's just an easy flow always to make that choice in the moment. But what you've gotten stronger at and what you're used to doing now is making that choice based on love
Yep.
because you know the difference and you're
Yep.
clear and it feels different and you know it because you've been doing it and living it and it's just part of you and you're committed to it.
That's right.
So we do need discernment. We do need discernment. And that's another thing that, I mean, we all need to learn discernment in that. That's one of the most important types of discernment I think a human being can learn is that type of discernment that you're talking about. Like, what is love right now? We're choosing love in this moment. And it doesn't mean self sacrificing and letting yourself become walked over. Like, what is real love in this moment?
That's right.
And what a great practice. I mean, to me, that's like a beautiful, beautiful practice right there.
When people ask me what I do and I say I teach about love, it
Uh-huh.
seems like, the concept is so big and so vast, and we take it for granted that we already know that. So,
Right.
that's not going to make me money. I don't need that. And it's so contrary because it does bring abundance. It does bring favor, just like we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about. But
Mm-hmm.
under that umbrella of love, I teach discernment. I teach left brain, right brain. Where
Mm-hmm.
is this answer coming from? Is it from your logic and reason, or is it coming from faith, your creativity? Where is this coming from? And oftentimes we're naturally going to go to logic. It's fear, fear, fear. And we base our responses on that. So every response is one that is contrary to love. And then
Right.
this is why we don't have good relationships
Right. Beautiful.
and health, you
Yeah.
know? And this is why our cells are getting bigger, we're full of junk, and we don't know where the pain is coming from. But now, our neck is hurting and our knees hurt, we can't walk, and we have a slow gait, and we don't have any motivation, we don't have any inspiration, we're cranky, we're sarcastic, we're short-tempered with each other, we're automatic defense mode. All that is from not understanding how to choose love every time. It's literally compiled. And so now we have to go see you to fix it all because we don't understand what's going on. Why is our pulse racing? Why do I have all this pain? Help me. So you're going to purge and help them clear all that out.
Yeah. So you're like the love cleanse goddess.
Well, the hardest part about that for me
Mm.
is the convincing that we all need it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Well,
assumption is
that's
we all
that
need
does that. The convincing takes some kind of detoxification of erroneous thinking that is connected to uh, what people think will actually bring them happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And if they think that becoming famous on Instagram is really the goal of life, or whatever it is, or just money, or whatever it is, if they're forgetting that principle. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of that. There's nothing wrong with becoming popular on Instagram. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with, we know that, right? But if the foundation isn't there, then it's like it's built on a bed of sand. It doesn't mean much. So without that love factor and learning how to discern, I mean, learning that discernment, I mean, what a great, I mean, we need like a 30-day retreat somewhere only on that topic, discerning love in the moment. What a
Right.
great thing.
Right.
But
And
it may be a process to even, like you said, even getting someone to the point where how is that valuable? And it may be like, okay, you'll make a lot more money if you're discerning that way. Yeah. But that's okay, as to get them interested.
you
But
know, okay, so
it's,
right there, we'll get them interested, right? So and get this, people, if you're not in, the content creator mode, the idea is to sell them what they want, right? And give them what they need. And what they
true.
want is to increase their bottom line. They want the secret to money. They want to be rich. They want to, relieve themselves of the stress of bills. They want time freedom.
Right.
So
Right.
you have to model, like, how do I fit love into that? I don't like making promises like that. It is the result, but
It's true.
mhm.
You need
So
a you need someone. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But that is, you're dealing with something really real, and you're promising something that's true. I mean, one thing is like, I remember some healer that I went to years ago, and it's something that just stuck with me, and I think people understand this point quite a lot. But he's like, okay, if you feel like you think you want something, say a red convertible, and so I think I really want a red convertible.
okay,
But why do I really want a red convertible? I want a red convertible. How do I think I will feel in a red convertible? Oh, I think I'll feel very confident and happy with the sun shining on me driving, and people will think I'm really rich and cool because I have a red convertible. So how will I feel? Like what's the feeling that if you think people think you're really cool? Well, I'll feel confident and I'll feel happy about myself. And ultimately I'll actually feel peaceful inside. If I feel like people like me and think I'm great, then I don't have to try so hard. So you want to feel peaceful and not try so hard. You just want to be yourself. Yeah, I just want to be myself. So from going from a red convertible, it comes back to I just want to be happy and peaceful inside. And that's really what we want. So yeah, people think they want so much money, they want this, but you know, what will that thing really give them if they really take it back? It's really come back to something inside themselves.
Right.
And
I'm
that's
looking
what you're
for
giving.
value everywhere else, and I'm going to bring it to me so that I'm valuable.
Right.
Clearly, I'm valuable in a red convertible. Clearly, I'm valuable with diamonds all over me, right?
Right.
And
So
it's like, no,
find your value, like the thing that you think you want. That's what you have to feel inside yourself and find, regardless whether you have the diamonds or the red car. Anyway, like so that's what we have to go toward. We can use our desires to tell us what is it that we're really looking for beneath the desire. Yeah.
so, if I were a genie, right? And I come to you and I say, all right, so what do you want? Do you want like fame, fortune, and a legacy? Or do you want to paint the Mona Lisa? And people are like, no, I want fame and fortune and I want all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but if you can paint the Mona Lisa, that's something that you did. Once you go out there and get the fame and the fortune and all that, they're going to say, for what?
Right.
Kind of like a Kardashian.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want to do something. It's like if you want to be a baseball player, do you want to have the money of a baseball player? Do you want to have the fame of baseball? Or do you want to be able to hit it out of the park every single time? What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's me. I know that I can hit it out of the park. I know that I can paint the Mona Lisa. I know that inside I can do it and I don't need all that other stuff. And that's when you really don't need the red convertible anymore. You don't care.
Right. Exactly. Right.
I know who I am. I know what I can do.
Mm.
Yeah.
True.
I've been given a gift. I can do that.
Right.
And that's when you really start to fall in love with your life and you stop falling in love with stuff.
Right. And the image of what you think your life should be, or
Right.
the image of someone else's idea of what your life should be. Yeah.
Right. And so then when you actually, polish that gift, and then you get the red convertible and everything else, if for some reason you never had it, or it goes away, you lose it, you don't care. You
Right.
still have the gift.
Right. Right.
It
Yeah.
means nothing to you. It's just like, it's a side dish.
Right. So true.
That's where when we're chasing a dollar, trying to scale, whatever our persona is, trying to get that stuff. If your corporate job goes away and you don't have that anymore, you lose your identity.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you?
Yeah.
And that's why we have people jumping out of windows. Find your gift, right? Don't be afraid. Just get your gift, even if it's a post-it note. Find it.
Right. That's the word dharma. Dharma means your gift. I mean, it's one definition of it. Dharma means that quality that is inherent in a thing. So the dharma of fire is heat and light. The dharma of water is liquidity. So what is your dharma? What is your essence? What is your gift that's really, really part of you? And the idea is that we all come with something like that. We all come with a dharma. Doesn't
Right.
mean life purpose. I mean, that can be kind of like can mean that, but it's a deep thing. It's like like you said, when you're comfortable in your own skin, knowing and sharing what you want to know and share, or what you want to share, and you feel good about that and comfortable about that, and you let yourself do that because that's what you're here to do. Yeah, and then you're choosing in each moment, that thing
Yep.
based on love. Then you're walking your path,
Right.
walking your talk.
Exactly. For me, the gift came later. I made a commitment to love. That was it. And they say there's many paths, Okay, so that's fine. My path was literally committing
Mm,
to the idea of love.
I love
So
that.
where we have to use love, apply love in everything that we do,
Yes.
the ingredient itself.
Hmm.
If we don't know the ingredient to apply everywhere else, then the other things that we're doing are missing that one special ingredient.
Yeah.
It's just not satisfying. It doesn't fill you up.
Yeah.
So to teach that one thing, it's like, what could be better
Mm-hmm.
than really understanding each other and knowing how to communicate in a way that
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to have to over explain what I'm saying. I'm not going to have to back up. I'm going to have to clarify none of it. Because moving forward, I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to continue to love you, love you, love you, love you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love it. And I keep coming back because we're, we go to the Ayurveda thing where in India or in the Vedas, means knowledge, there's the word dharma. And then there's something which is basically, what is your life purpose, which is rooted in love. But dharma can also mean, in some cases, religion, or it can mean duty, like duty, but we think of duty sometimes as being boring, like, got to do it. But it's connected very much to, okay, it's my duty because it's who I am. Like, it's not like I'm this, but my job is to do that, so I have to do that. No, it's connected. It's your duty because it's who you are.
Right.
It's doing someone else's work is not your duty. But there's a word sanatana dharma, which means it's called what is the eternal dharma, and it's considered the essence of all true spiritual paths, and that's love. So sanatana dharma means that which is eternal and that which is always present, and what you're tapping into is love, and that's what it's that's what. So I'm just making that connection. It's a beautiful
And
connection because you keep coming back to that. That is your dharma. That is, and you're naming the dharma of all living beings, really.
right.
And if that is forgotten, and that's why religions and this path and that's why they become very distorted, because they forget that one piece and they think it's about the externals. When we think about the real spiritual personalities who've come to the planet, you know, like Christ, for instance, the amount of love that he emanated was vast and extraordinary. So to limit his path in some other ritualistic way based on some human conceptions that's devoid of love means it's not Sanatana Dharma. It's not the religion of love. Religion means to relink. Doesn't mean some path that's chalked out by some old scruffy old guy who wants people to suffer. You know, it means to relink. Like yoga, the word yoga means to connect, to yoke. And so religion means also to relink. It's that connection. And so that relink is love. So that's
Yes.
kind of where my mind's going with all that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And that actually one of my shows, like on Monday night, is Equally Yoked. And
Beautiful.
it's having, the same mindset to expand and really understand what love is and how to operate, better. This machine that we have, how do we operate it better so
Yeah.
that we get more joy, more satisfaction, more opportunity, more favor? It's just favor. No matter how you slice it, it's that energy is coming to you.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, when you're bringing up Jesus, it's like, who is looking at Jesus going, what have you done for me lately?
Right. Right.
And that we should look at each other like that and allow us to have our space,
Mm,
to be ourselves, to bloom, to, expand and give our fragrance. Like, this is who I am, not because you're
mhm,
demanding it from me, but because you're in my space and
right.
this is what I am.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I know for a fact it's like the expectation from the flower is just, it's like, excuse me,
Mhm.
that's not love.
Mhm. Right.
Allow each person to be who they are, let them find themselves, let them bloom, is see their own gift, and then let them share.
Right. That's
instead
your
of,
that's your dharma to help people do that.
yeah, that's that. I'm so passionate about it and conflicted about it because on the one hand, it's like, how do you turn love into a business?
Yeah.
You know?
Hmm.
And it goes back to this sell them what they want and give them what they need. And
Yep.
I wish more people would want and believe that it requires an education.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It does. An unlearning and a learning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe with everything that's, happened on the planet and what's happening, I think there are more people that are kind of like realizing that the approach wasn't working so well,
Right.
and that there are more people curious and open to new possibilities. That's my hope for you, and that people will kind of realize that, yeah, I really, really I need this, but I could use this new understanding, this new appreciation, because it's a fire. I like that we're on fireside. It's a fire that you can light a fire in someone's life that a lot of people, there's great coaches out there, and they can keep you accountable and all that, but and that's good. That's good. But unless you have that core principle, then ultimately everything becomes unsatisfying.
Right.
So your method is really, really important right now. I think
Thank
really
you.
important, and I
Thank you.
hope you find ways to share it with more people, and help people realize that there is a methodology, there is something they need to learn, and that it's not just about being all lovey-dovey and then go back to work and make money. It's not disconnected. It's really about connecting so deeply and real that uh, yes, life will be successful no matter what. And
It is the most serious life commitment
mhm,
because it's self discipline.
yeah, wow, I love it. You are so on to something. You are so on to something,
Yeah. Well,
no doubt.
I am
You know,
happy to be here with you, sharing this message. You know what I mean? Having these conversations that are real.
yeah, it's so true, and it's like we can be looking in so many different directions in life and just sort of look right by that point because, oh, that's not going to get me something that I want right now. But sometimes, you know, suffering, and I'm not wishing, I wouldn't wish suffering on anybody. And people suffer, and people have been suffering, and sometimes there's an escalation of suffering. And right now there's a type of an escalation of suffering on the planet.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's when people's hearts open up a bit and their minds open up a bit because they say, well, I'm suffering and I see so much suffering. So my thinking about how life is supposed to be ain't happening right now. So there's got to be something else. And they may kind of look and kind of go, oh, maybe there is something to love. Maybe rather than having love as being you know, the dessert or, one of the ingredients, you're talking about making love the main ingredient. And I really appreciate that so much.
Well, the Bible says that God is love,
Yeah,
not that God
so,
is loving.
yeah,
Love is our creator. Love
yeah,
is infinite
absolutely,
in all things and the power, right? Why would
absolutely.
you want to know that?
It all comes from love, totally. Yep. In the Eastern tradition, which I orient from, um, many people think of God as being, polytheistic or millions of God. Like that's really a major, major misconception.
Hmm.
And and there are lines that think like that, but there's a line called Vaishnav, which really accepts that the source of everything is one, and it is that it is pure love.
Yep.
And that's what everything emanates from, is that pure love. So
All there is God. There is nothing else.
That's a fact.
That's
That's
a fact. So if we can really understand that,
mm-hmm.
if there is nothing else, it literally means that the division that we are witnessing right now, meaning I look different from you, right? And my phone is not me. And everything is just I am that I am.
Yeah.
I am that.
Yeah.
So when God says, I am that I am, it's like each one of us that says that understands that you are one with everything. There is no such thing as division.
It's true.
So that separation that we think we have and that our identity that we're trying so hard to split from everyone else and rise above and have a bigger voice and be, you know, different.
Mm-hmm.
Our power comes from not being different, but from unity, from being one,
Right.
understanding each other.
Yeah. And here's another one to throw on top of that.
Okay.
There's a Vedic aphorism, Achincha Beta Beta Tattva, means inconceivably one, beyond the mind, and different. And the different is not really different because it's all coming from one, but unique in the sense that your dharma, you're unique, you're one, we're all one, but yet your manifestation, your expression of that has its flavor. Mine has another flavor, someone else has another flavor, but it's on the foundation of oneness.
Exactly. So if I were God, if I were the painter, right, and I'm painting Jonathan, I'm going to give you your own characteristics, everything that's special about you that I can think of and create in you.
Right.
And then I'm going to go on to the wherever the
Mm-hmm.
creator is creating, and it looks like something different, but all it is it's just my imagination continuing to create.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you know what? On this beautiful note, speaking of patience, and I'm totally patient right now, but I do have a patient
Okay.
in about a minute, actually.
Okay.
I need to wrap it up.
I know. Well, we have been on here for an hour and a half,
I
and that
know,
was probably half an hour longer, but I just loved our conversation. We'll have to do it again.
Let's do it again. Totally.
Okay. All right. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you. Get to work. Mwah. Thank you for everything you do.
Talk to you soon. You too. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Really appreciate it. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. If that was Jonathan Glass, I love this conversation. I hope you guys love this conversation. Again, that is my co-author from Cracking the Rich Code. Oh, let me see here. I didn't see all this. Oh, good. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Brian. Yes. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your comments, everybody. I love that. I absolutely love the show. Yay. And I'm going to be sharing this on our Rich Code community, and we'll show all of our co-authors there. As a matter of fact, I really hope that you join us over there. And the reason why is because all of our co-authors are there, and you can connect with all of us. Like Jonathan, you can do your own show, you can send them messages, you can ask them questions, you can whatever it is. There's a lot of expertise there, and it's really valuable information. Just focus. So if you want to know about love, then focus and send me a message. Go to marileeofsolana.com. If you want to know more about Jonathan, you can ask me about that too. Anything you need, we're here to help you. So thank you again for joining me for this whole hour and a half. It's been wonderful. God bless you. Enjoy your day. I'll be back later. Mwah. Oh, as a matter of fact, I'll be back in half an hour. I have another interview with Rich Kozak. Forgot. I got to get off. Okay, bye, everyone. Let's see. Where's our bot? I would do that.